Hello friends, welcome back to the session. So in this session, we will discuss about the foreign key relationship. Now, what is the meaning of this? The relationship between the two or more than two table to validate the data is called foreign key relationship. Now, let's take an example. Now, if you look at the SAP, SAP is a business application. Business means what? You do have the purchase activity, you do have sales activity, production related activity, logistic, finance, so on. Now, each business process, SAP has provided the different applications to process the data. And once we process the data through those applications, it will update the respective database table. As we also know, SAP has provided many standard business application based on the business process. He has also provided the many standard database table to store the data. Now, if you look at the standard database table provided by the SAP, he never stores the data manually. Instead, the data will be filled through the application only. Now, once we process the data through the application, it never stores the data in any of the single database table. Instead, SAP will store the data very systematically in different tables among the table. Now, let's assume if you are creating the purchase order, or if you are registering the vendor, or if you are registering the customer, or if you are registering the material in SAP system, so for those, SAP has already provided the application, nothing but a series of screen or the sequence of screen. Now, once we process the data, those screen and screen fields, after click on save option, the data from those screen will be transferred to the database table. And it never update any single table. Instead, it will update the bunch of table, group of table. Now, if you ask me if it is updating the same data in a different table, then what is the coordination between those tables? What relationship is going to be maintained between those tables? That concept is behind the foreign key relationship. Now, for those standard table, SAP has maintained the relationship, but we need to work with the foreign key relationship if you are working with the custom table. You are going to create the table which is not provided by the SAP. Now, let's take a simple scenario. Now, suppose if you go to the bank, now you're like visiting the bank for the first time, the respective bank, and if you want to open a new account in that bank, now of course they are going to provide you the application form. You need to fill that form in detail, the required, at least for the required field, you need to fill it up, and along with that, you need to provide some address proof, ID proof, and some photograph. And so starting, you are going to deposit some amount as per the standard. Then after opening the account, they are going to generate the unique number for you. That is a part of account number. Now, the day which you are visiting the bank to open a new account, so directly you will visit the accountant. He will open the account for you. The next day morning, again you are visiting the same bank. After opening the account, you are visiting the same bank again for the next day. Then you are visiting the cashier to deposit. Now this time you want to deposit or withdraw some amount. Now whom you will visit? Of course, the cashier. Now how the cashier will get to know that you are the part of this bank? Of course, you are going to fill that slip, the credit slip or the debit slip. You are going to provide the details like this is my account number and this is what amount which I want to withdraw. This is the amount which I want to deposit. Now, how the cashier, of course, he is a part of that bank. He is accessible to all the tables. Now, the day before, the account which you have opened, the detail which has been stored, that has been stored in a respective database table that we can consider as a master table. Okay. For example, if you look at over here, sorry. Now, the day one, you have visited the bank and you have opened a new account. In that, you have provided some detail and he has registered the name of customer ID, his name, the city which he belongs to, the postal, the street, the country, so on, so on, so on. I'm taking some only few. All your personal information, I can say. All your personal information has been stored in one of the standard database table, and that table I can call as a master table. What is the meaning of master data or master table? Once we create it, cannot be changed. Let's assume this is my one of the table called ZZ. 01 underscore customer. We are taking the scenario. And this is my master table. This is my master table, or we can say a master data. The day which you have visited the bank to open a new account, now accountant, after providing all your respective details, he is going to store all the detail in a respective data. Through application, he is going to store the data in one of the standard database table, and that we can call as a master data, which contains your all personal information along with your newly generated account number. The next day morning, you're visiting the bank and you're going to the cashier to deposit the amount or withdraw the amount. Now, how the cashier will get to know that you are the part of the bank? See, you are allowed to maintain the business with the bank only when if you are the part of that bank, you are the customer of that bank. Now, if you are going with the Amazon or the Flipkart, they will allow you to do the business with them only when if you do the registration. If you're not registered with them, they will not allow you to do the things. That is a normal protocol, I can say. Same way, if you want to do any business with the bank, you need to be registered. So that is registration is a part of your holding the account in a bank. Now, next day morning, as I discussed, you are going to the cashier to deposit and withdraw. Now, how the cashier will get to know that? Does it mean he goes to the table and check your information? Whatever the account number you have provided, does it mean it will go to the database and he pass the account number provided by you, and there he will get, of course, if you provided the account number, if you are the part of that custom bank, then of course your information will be there in the table, and of course he will get to know that, oh, this is a he's a customer of our bank. Now what if you're not the part of that bank, then of course you the cashier will get to know that he's not a part of our bank. So does it mean now there are many customer in a queue? Does it mean he is going to check everyone's account number and with respect to the database table? Of course, yes, he can do it, but it's a very time consuming, a lengthy job. I want to this validation a internal setup. See, account number is a 11 character minimum 10 to 11. If any one number get mismatched, then it's a wrong information, right? After all, we are the human beings. The error can might happen. So if entering the 11 digit, sometimes the 11 digit will be a numeric only, sometimes it's a alphanumeric. It's a very difficult. And it is if he is going to do that manual activity, it of course it's take a longer time, and there are many people in the queue in the cash counter. So I need to do this activity very quickly. So doing a manual validation, it's take a longer time. Then, and second reason, second, this is the one part, doing a validation to check that customer is a part of a bank. That is a one, it's a part of validation only. That is one scenario. Again, the second scenario is what? Suppose the day before yesterday, or yesterday, which you have opened the account and the information which has been processed over the tables, already that information has been stored in one of the table called master data. Now today, the amount which you are depositing, the amount which you are crediting or debiting, does it mean after processing the data, again it's going to be stored in the same table which has been used in a yesterday processing, or account information which has been stored in a table? Does it mean in the same table you are going to store your transaction details? Of course no. If you can store it, but it is like a, again jumbling, it can complexity. No. Now suppose if you are holding a desk, the study desk, I can say the working desk, if you keep all the things aligned, then it's a good looking also. Things will be sorted. You can quickly search the things. You will quickly get the things, okay, when you're trying to search. But if you're doing the jumbling of all the things at one place, then it's very difficult for you to be validate, pick it up same way. So SAP will not means he has designed the system in such a way that the data will be stored very systematically, and data will be stored in three different layers. That is a part of master, header, and the item. That is a part of table wise that we'll discuss in a separate session during the discussion of the business process. But at this time, you can like just you need to think in a way that we never store the data in one single table. Instead, the respective data will be stored in a different tables systematically. Now, my personal information or the account detail will be stored in one table, and my all credit debit information is storing in another table. Then how it going to be validated? That validation is a part of your foreign key relationship. So the day before yesterday, the account which you have opened, all information has been stored in one of the table, And today, when you are going to do any transactions, maybe depositing the amount, crediting the amount, or debiting the amount, that information will be processed in a different table. So this is my account number, column, the fields I can say, the date on which you are doing the transaction, how much amount you are depositing, and what is your transaction type. Either you are depositing the amount or you are the crediting, like debiting the amount. So this is my another table. So they will store the data very systematically in a different table. And this will be my another table called somewhat ZZ01 underscore CUST underscore bank. If you want, you can store all these two information in the same table also. Again, it's a jumbling, right? It's not a good. So we are going to keep the things sorted out. So the master information will be stored in one of the table. And today, the transactions which you are doing, we are storing in another table. So this is something my transaction data, I can say. So we do have the different kinds of business data. Master, transaction, organization, system, statistical. We have already discussed during the creation of the table. Now, your master information is storing in one of the table called Z01 underscore customer as per my example. And today, whatever the transaction you are doing, which is going to be stored in a different table, then what's the relationship between? Now, how to be sure that I'm the customer, my account number is something like 1000. Like we do have the different customers. This you can consider as your account number or the customer ID something. Now, this customer is of course part of bank and he's today depositing some amount and that information is being stored in a second table. Then how to be sure the information which you are entering that belongs to my customer ID only? What's the relationship? How we are going to make sure? That is a part of key relationship. Now, if you look at my first table, in the first table, the key field is customer ID. Of course, in a table, there should be at least one key field. Key field is concept is what? That information is always unique to differentiate among the rows. In my second table, the key field is account number. Don't go with the name, field name. Don't go with the field name wise. Now, if we call the bank, they will, like, suppose if you do have any concern, if you want to raise any ticket or the issue with the bank, if you are calling the toll-free number or the customer ID, they will ask you, like, what's your account number? Maybe they will ask you as what's your account number, or sometimes they will ask you what's your customer ID. Maybe one and all same, maybe they are correlated, they are linked with each other somewhere. Same way, now I want to connect these two tables. Why? I want to do the validation internally. Now suppose the cashier, the example which I have taken, now you are in the queue up with the cash counter. Now once after filling the pay slips, you are going to submit it to the cash counter. Now he's going to validate it internally. Does this customer the part of our bank or not? Does it mean he's visiting the first table, ZZ01 underscore customer, and he's checking is it a valid customer ID? So as I told you that if you're doing the validation manually or the explicitly, there might be a human error, or maybe it might be a longer time taking because we are having many customer in the queue up. We need to attend very quickly all of them. We need to save the timing. Then what you are going to do? You are going to connect these two key fields. You are going to connect these two key fields. And that relationship is always with the key field. That is what the foreign key. The relationship between two or more than two table to validate the data is called foreign key relationship. If you look at both the table individually, let's just leave about the relationship. If you look at these two table individually, the first table and the second table, both are the application table. While creating the database table, we are going to specify the delivery class. Under a delivery class, we are going to specify what kind of data is going to be or supposed to hold. That's a part of most of the time we are going to work with the master and transaction that can be your application data. So let's assume both are the individual table. Just leave about the relationship. The first table is also a application table, application data, which can be master transaction. Second table is also a application data, which can be master and transaction. In both the table, there is a key field. In the first table, the key field is customer ID. In the second table, the key field is account number. Now, this will become your primary key. This is my primary key. And this is also my primary key. When it comes to the relationship, now who is going to connect with whom? I want to validate the information of bank table. I want to validate the information of second table. Now, cash counter, the cashier, when he's processing the data through the application, that data is supposed to hold in a second table. Okay. So while storing the information in second table, that should get internally validated with the first table. That should get internally validated with the first table. It means you are establishing the relationship between the two table. It means the first table, second table is going to be connected with the first table to validate the data. The second table is going to connect with the first table to validate the data. In that situation, that is a part of key relationship, and that key relationship is foreign key relationship. We are connecting internally to validate the data. When it comes to the key relationship, this table will become the check table. And this table will becomes foreign key table. I'm talking about relationship. If you look at both the table individually, both are application table. One of contain the master, another contain the transaction, and both key field contains the primary key. But when it is talking about the relationship to validate the data, when it comes to the foreign key relationship, then the table to whom you are connecting to validate, that table will become the check table. Now, the table 2 is going to connect with table 1. So table 1 will become the check table because it contains the master data and we are connecting with the table 1 to validate the data. Then it becomes a check table. And the second table will become the foreign key table. The first table key field becomes the primary key and the second table key field becomes the foreign key. When it comes to the relationship, the first table key will becomes the primary key and second table key field becomes the foreign key. Now, once after generating the relationship, now you're trying to store. Now, don't go with the field name. Now, in the first table, the customer ID, the field name is something like customer ID. In the second table, the field name is something like account number. Field name could be anything. But within that field, whatever the information you're storing, both are same only. Just we are addressing something else. Okay, maybe in your home, your nickname is something different, but if you go with the officially in office or in your school academy, your original name is something different. The name can be different, but person is again same. The same way, in the two tables, the key field name something different, but within under that, the data which you are storing, that is again same. So the first customer 1000 is visiting the bank he's in the queue with the cash counter. Now he just enter the account number. That account number is get internally validated with the customer ID field because we have connected the second table account number with first table customer ID. Now he will check, does this 1000 available in the first table? Of course, yes. Then it will allow to enter the further information. Now suppose you are entering the information which does not exist in the table level. Suppose you are entering something like 1004. Now this 1004 will get validated with the first table. Does 1004 available in a table? Of course no. Then it's going to get the error. What error? So there is a standard error given by the SAP, but if you want your own error, that is also possible. But system will not allow you to store the data in a second table. That is the meaning of validation. Your internal checking, the system is checking internally itself like the customer ID which you have entered in a payslip that is get validated with the information which you have provided in a previous day. and that information has been stored in one of the table called master table. That is getting validated with the first table. If the matchable entry found, then it will allow you to enter the further information. Otherwise, he will stop it here. Now you can ask me the table which we are connecting and which we are going to generate the relationship. So second table called ZZ01 underscore customer bank. The field called account number is being connected with the first table ZZ01 underscore customer with customer ID. The field name is something different, but how the data is getting validated. See, to generate the relationship between the two table key field, actually it should be with the key field, there is no any doubt. Relationship is with the key field only. The non-key field relationship will not be generated. That is not possible. The name is itself with the key relationship. So the field which you are connecting between the two table, the key field should, like it is being connected with the key field. But here the field name is something different, but how it is working internally. So there is a prerequisite. Whenever you're working with the foreign key relationship, the relationship which you want to generate with between the two table key field, the relationship which you want to generate between the two table key fields, the domain and the data element. Domain and data element should be same while generating the foreign key relationship between two table key fields. The two table key fields which you want to connect, between those two table, the domain and the data element should be same. The meaning of this, the while creating the first table and for the first field called customer ID, what domain you have registered for this field and what data element you have registered for this field, the same data element and the domain should be used while creating the second table key field called account number. Then only system will generate the relationship, otherwise no. The key fields which you want to connect, for those key fields, if the domain and the data element does not match, then the relationship will not be generated. If you want it to be generated, the two tables name can be anything, but the fields, the domain and the data element should be same. Now if I go with the example, so the first table is already exist, which we have created ourselves during our previous session while discussing with the creating the database table. So one of the table which we have already created, the table is ZZ01 underscore customer. Now if you look at this table, so somewhat short description, the set of fields which we have corrected, in that two key fields we do have, mandate and the customer ID. If I click on table content, if I click on table content, so this is somewhat information which is already exist. If you want, you can create some more information also. But creating the record is not a part of abap job. It's a job of end user. Now there is a requirement. They want to process some banking related information. I'm just taking a scenario. And for that, they are requesting you to create the two separate table. In first table, which is going to store only master information. And against that master information, the transaction related information will be stored in a second table. That is somewhat banking related information. So the first table is already created. The information within the table is already in place. Now our job is to create the second table, which does not exist. We need to create it at. So I'm opening the new screen. Now in that, again, I'm going with S11. I'm creating the second table, bank. Okay, go with create option. The short description, customer, bank, transaction, information. So whenever we create the database table, the component of database table, there are three. One with delivery and maintenance, second one with the field, third one with the technical setting. So by default, delivery and maintenance is selected. Under delivery and maintenance, we do have two options, delivery class and the data browser slash table view maintenance. Delivery class means what? The table which you are creating, after creating the table, what kind of business data you are going to maintain. So that information we are going to maintain by using delivery class. So there are, we do have application. Within the application, we do have master, transaction, then comes with organization, system, statistical, configuration, customization, system, delivery, temporary, so on. But in most of 99% of case, I mean 99% of case, we are working on the application. It can be master transaction, but we are not going to decide. The requirement which you are supposed to receive in the format of functional specification document, that document contains the complete information. What delivery class you need to create used, what are the set of fields you are supposed to create, everything will be provided in detail. You have nothing to worry. So again, I'm selecting the application data. The previous table was also a application data which contains the master data. So application means both transaction and the master. Then the delivery and maintenance, we are selecting display maintenance allowed. Under fields, so whenever we create the table, the first field should be the mandate because the data in the table should be client specific. If you are not registering the field called client number, the data will be stored in all client without security. Next comes with, I'm creating a next field called account number. Actually, there is no space between the two words. The separator between the two words is underscore. Here you're not finding the underscore, but there is no any space between them. Space will not be allowed. And this is again, I want the key field. And what note we have discussed whenever you are going to generate the relationship between the two table. And I want to connect, as I discussed, ZZ01 underscore customer underscore bank. In that field called the account number, I want to be connected to the first table. And what is the field for that? Customer ID. The field name could be anything, but the data element should be the same. Now I'm going to use the same data element. Now within the data element, you do have the domain. Okay, so once you copy the data element, of course, domain will be carried out with it. So the data element which you have used for the first table key field, same I'm copying over here. Click on enter. The field name could be anything, doesn't matter, but the information should be the same, like domain data element. And this is a prerequisite. The two tables key field which you want to connect, the domain and the data element for those two table key fields remains should be same, right? And I'm creating further fields called date. And this is what the advantage of domain and the data element. The same domain and the data element can be reused in multiple table fields. The main purpose of creating the domain and the data element is reusability, right? Next, so I'm creating date, like transaction date, when you are going to deposit or credit the amount. Save in local object, double click on this, create object, yes, I can say transaction date. And for the date, SAP has provided the data type, DATS. And the default length of the DATS is 8 character, and this is the default format of date, year, month, and the date. Under fields, I'm going to maintain the short like label. It can be, you can maintain any one of them or you can maintain all. Everything is fine. But you should maintain all four. Save in local object and activate. Similarly, I'm creating amount z01 underscore something like. You can create the domain and the data element starting with z or y. Double click on this. This is already exist. So I'm creating with different name. Double click on this. Create object yes. So I'm creating the data element called zz01 underscore transaction amount. Sorry. Spelling mistake. I'm just recorrecting it. Transaction amount, I can say. Double click on this. Create object yes. Transaction amount. This is something like integer 4, I can say, because amount will be something like separated by comma. So if you want to get the numbers with the separated by comma, you need to go with the integer. Now within the integer, you do have three options: integer 1, 2, and 4. Integer 1 comes with the default length of 3 character. Integer 2 comes with default length of 5 character. And integer 4 come up with the default length of 10 character. Now, if you want to see 1, what is the length? 3. If I go with 2, what is the default length? 5. So I'm going with the 4. Default length is 10 character. Now under label, I'm maintaining the transaction amount. Okay. Save in local object and activate. Now going back, I'm creating with transaction type. Either you're debiting the amount, either you're crediting the amount. I want to know, right? Both information again will be stored in the same table. I'm saying transaction type. So I'm going with character 1, either credit or debit. You can go with the 6 character also. Okay. So here I'm taking transaction, transaction. Okay. Just save in local object and activate. So on. You can create n number of fields. There is no any restrictions. Now under delivery class, what options we have selected? A. That means application, it can be master transaction. Now you want to ask me what exactly? That is it master transaction? That we are going to differentiate under the technical settings. In the technical setting, we are going to maintain the data class and the size category. Data class, the physical area for your table inside the database. Now SAP has provided the physical area means the table and the data which you are creating in under which physical area the table should be located, right? So by selecting the physical area, then it's going to be differentiate either it's a master or transaction. Of course, I want to store the transaction. I'm selecting the physical area as 1 and the size category, you can take anything. See, this range could be anything. This range could be anything. So don't go with the range. So size categories are 0 to 9. There are total 9 size category. So always select the minimal one because we are processing very minimal data manually. And of course, the size is range is exit, automatically it will reinitialize the next size category. You have nothing to worry. So save and activate. So there is an error. See, while activating, I'm getting the error. What error I'm getting? See, error occurred when activation. Please refer the log, click on enter. So TABL ZZ01 customer bank was not activated. The reason behind is the field which you have created as a date, that is a reserved key for SAP. Now what does it mean? He's saying that that name is reserved for SAP. You can select some other name. Okay. So I'm selecting something like, instead of simple plain date, I can take it as a T date, nothing but transaction date. Just save and activate. Now there is no any error, but you are getting the warning. So warning is nothing but what? You can ignore, but still if you want to read the warning, go with S, and this is a warning. Enhancement category for the table is missing. Now what is the meaning of this? Now once after creating the table in future, anybody else, maybe including you also, do you want to allow the further developer to add the extra fields in the table? That might be happen like in future, the user come up with a new requirement, he wanted some additional fields in the table. In that situation, do you want to allow them to add the new field? Maybe in that case, you might be the same abapper who is going to change, or in your place, there may be a different abapper who is going to do this job. But the thing is that, do you want to allow them to change the table fields or adding the new table fields? If yes or no, that you need to decide. But currently, it is something in neutral stage. You have not decided either you are going to allow them or not. So there are 5 options under the enhancement category. Can be enhanced means you are allowing them to enhance means add. What kind of additional you want you are like allowing them to do. So in can be enhanced in bracket deep. The first option is it means it can be allowed to add only the structure, not any extra field. Structure means grouping of field. You can allow to add only the structure. That is a part of can be enhanced in bracket deep. So next is can be enhanced It can be character type also, numeric also. It means you can add any field with the type character also, with the type numeric also. So can be enhanced character type means you will be allowed to add only those field with the data type is character. And the fourth option is cannot be enhanced means cannot be added. So currently the fifth option is selected, that is not classified means you have not decided. So go with extras, enhancement category, enter. So these are the five options. So always select the second one, can be enhanced, activate. So your second table is also ready. Now before we maintain the entry, not by we, of course by the end user. So before maintaining the entries in a table, you need to establish the relation. Now whatever the entry is being inserted in table, this entry should be compared or validated with the first table. So this is my first table. This is my first table. Sorry. But this is my first table. So what my concern? Let me adjust the screen. Okay, this is my first table. And this is my second table. Okay. Now the end user in future he is trying to enter the entries in a second table. Now before we save the data, now whatever the information we are trying to enter, that should be internally get validated with the first table. Now if you are getting validated with the first table, which fields you want to be get validated? Of course key field only. So whatever the information is being passed under this account number, that information need to be validated with the first table key field. And the prerequisite was domain and the data element should be the same. So here domain and the data element is same only. Now how to generate the relationship? Now first you need to decide which table need to be get validated with which table and what is the field. So this is my second table ZZ01 underscore customer bank. In that my field is called account number. That should be validated. To whom? The first table and the key field called customer ID. Now how to generate the foreign key relationship? Now click on the field which you want to get connected with first table. Click on that. I'm just single click on that field account number. I'm just clicking on this. And can you see your key icon next to search help? Key icon, this one, key icon, key icon. Just click on that key icon. You're getting that under information foreign keys. Foreign keys. If I click on this, you will get the pop-up. He's asking you to which table you want to get connected with. And the table which you are connecting, that table will becomes check table. And here my first table will become the check table. What is my check table name? ZZ01 underscore customer. Now can you see this pop-up? In this pop-up, can you see the heading create foreign key? The table is ZZ01 underscore customer underscore bank and the field call is account number. He is being connected with the check table. Now for this account number, now field called account number is being connected with the first table called ZZ01 underscore customer. In this table, whatever the fields you do have, among those fields, to whom or to which field domain and the data element is getting matched, then automatically get connected. Okay. Now can you see this information? You do have the table. Now everything is empty. Everything is empty. Now as soon as if I click on generate proposal, see, it is going to be generated automatically. So when it comes to the relationship, the first table will become the check table and the second table will become the foreign key table. Now, the second table field called account number is connected with the first table field called customer ID because for these two table key field, the domain and the data element is again same. See, I wanted to get connected only these two fields, but by default, this mandate is also get connected because the domain and the data element for this mandate is also again same. But if you don't want to get validated, then you can remove this value. It is editable, see? But the second field is not editable because you are purposefully wanted to generate the relationship. System will not allow you to do the edit. But I'm keeping this mandate as it is because let the mandate is also get validated. Now, while doing the validation, you will get one standard message set by the SAP. But if you want the different error message, then you need to provide your message class number and the message class. Okay, that is a different topic we have not covered at. Just click on enter. Now see, your relationship has been established. Now whatever the data you are going to enter in a second table, that is being get validated with the first table. Now the thing is like how to maintain the entries in a table. There are different way. You can process through application, means you can create your own screen to enter the data in this screen, in this table, or you can create the table maintenance generator, again which we have not covered, we will cover, and or by using SA11 also you can maintain the entries. Now before that I will show you some entry from the first table. So these are the list of entry from first table. Now I'm trying to create the entries in second table. Go with utilities, table content, create entries. I'm providing 1000 transaction date today itself. I'm entering something like 1000 rupees, and that is my credit. Okay, see, the database record successfully created. Now before with saving, what he will do, now this 1000 will get validated with this customer ID. Do you have 1000? Yes, it will take it. Now again 1001. Again he is going to do the credit, it will allow you. But instead of 1000, I will do it 2000. Now you let me know, does this 2001 entry exist in first table? Of course no. System will not allow you. Now you can see you are getting the message. Entry 2001 does not exist in table, your check table. Of course it is mean this 2000 entry does not exist in a first table. It means the person who is visiting the bank, he is not holding the account in the bank. Then how he is going to deposit the amount? Not possible, right? By accidentally he comes to other bank. That does it mean. Now he's saying that no, I want to deposit the amount in this bank only. What they will suggest? Please first open the account. It means if you want to maintain the entry of 2001 in a second table, first you need to create the entries in first table. Now see, I'm going to create a new entry in first table with information 2001, somewhat city, postal code, street, in country. Save. Now I'm going to reset and again I'm going to create 2001. See. So before we enter the data in a table, he will get validated with the first table. If that specify the fields which you have connected, if the matchable data not found in the check table, then it will not allow you. So that is what the relationship between the two table to validate the data. So whatever the data is being processed by the SAP in a standard table, those table is also having the relationship among those tables. So that's it for the session. Thank you for the day and thank you for the session.